Hi and good morning, everybody, and welcome to another week of Lesbian Lives live streamed, where we bring to you the exhibit An Army of Lovers, which tells the story of 18 different people who were involved in the women's movement and were also lesbian, bi, queer, or two-spirit. The show, the exhibit rather, which opened on March 18th, International Women's Day, unfortunately closed very soon after due to COVID. So I thought, since I have the archives of Lesbian Oral Testimony as an online institution, I guess you could say, I thought, why not start just live streaming the exhibit, and we can bring it to you. And I have to say, it's been a lot of fun. We've been having a really good time. I'm slowly gathering more equipment as I go, and maybe hopefully you can tell this is a very nice camera now that's shooting for me, but unfortunately it only will shoot for the beginning, and then I'll have to switch to my laptop. But I think it's quite nice. It's very good coloring. I also have to say that I'm not used to looking at myself so much, and I don't like it, and I can see why people in media become very narcissistic, because you're wondering, like, do I look good? How do I look? When normally it's not something I spend my time thinking about. I'm a little bit more obsessed with properly placed commas and semicolons usually. Anyhow, I am streaming live from the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and lately I've been hearing Stolo, so I need to check that and make sure but I want to include the Stolo if that's right. I'm in Burnaby, so up on Burnaby Mountain. And I did want to draw your attention to something I heard in the news today. As we know, marginalized communities are harder hit, much harder hit by everything, but COVID, of course, especially. And this week there was a special call out to support the Navajo Nation in the United States that was really struggling. And so I'm very happy that I have a steady income, and I was able to send a donation out to them. And if you are in the position like I am, where you're able to make donations here and there, I really encourage you to have a look at their Relief Fund website, which I'll put in the link on our page later. But for now, I can tell you it's nndoh.org/donate.html. But if you just look up Navajo Nation COVID-19 Relief Fund, you'll find it. So I really hope that you can help out. Also, here in Canada, it's a long weekend, and I'm in British Columbia, and everybody loves to go away for the long weekend. It's usually the beginning of the summer, cottage season. But our leaders have been asking people to stay home, and I join them in that and ask everybody to stay in place, and let's see what we can do to slow the damage that this virus is doing down. So I'm really happy to be here with you. And we have a special treat today. Oh, so I wanted to say a couple things. Last week I offered a giveaway of this beautiful mug, and we had a winner. Cindy Cole actually is our winner for this week, so I'll be down in your neighborhood soon, so I'll just hand deliver it to you. But this week I promised a mug to anybody who invites a friend, who was here last week and has invited a friend. So if that's you, send me an email, and I'm happy to send you out a mug, and you can join us for Saturday lunchtime if you're on the West Coast, mid-afternoon if you're further inland, as we like to say, with your allot mug. Okay, so today we're having a special little game. So my guest today is Nora Randall, who you're gonna love. Nora is just always so much fun to talk to. It has a great joie de vivre, as we say, a great love of life. But I was on Twitter, and I'm going to share with you, if I can make it work here, get the technology working correctly. Yes, here we go. So I think, let me just look and make sure you're all seeing what I'm seeing here. Okay, so I saw this Oh, yes, you can see it. Okay, great. I saw this little bit here, and I'll just play a little bit for you, and hopefully you can.
Do you know what a baby dyke is?
I feel like the word baby means like new. So is it like a new lesbian?
Yeah.
Is it?
Someone who's recently came out as a lesbian.
Ah, this is good. I like this one. I think this is really cool. So lesbian.
I want to say like Selena Gomez is a lesbian.
Lesbian.
I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Another word for famous.
Celebrity lesbian.
Okay, so you get the idea, right? So that looked like a lot of fun. And let me see if I need to get us back here to Zoom meeting. Let's see. Are we? I think that's working. Okay, wonderful. So that to me looked like a lot of fun because, you know, we love our lingo, we love our insider language. And in this, I use oral history as a tool to connect younger queer folks with older queer folks who usually identify as women, because that's important to me. And so I thought, oh, this would be fun because there's a lot of new lingo that we don't know. So to my left is Nora. Nora, you want to wave? There you go. Hey, Nora. So Nora's our guest for today, but we are contestants or participants in this game. So I have invited two of my former students who have gone on to do incredible work, like super incredible work, and I'm so proud of them. So directly below me is Caroline. Caroline, you want to wave and say hi?
Hey, everyone.
And then over beside Caroline is Shilpa.
Hi.
So you have not been in my classroom for several years now. It's been a while. So what have you two been up to since I saw you last?
Well, since I graduated university, I was working in the downtown east side for about a year with a wonderful organization called PACE Society. And we provide advocacy, supports, and resources to sex workers in the downtown east side. And I did community relations with them, and I got to run their occupational health and safety workshop, which was fantastic. And now I'm in a new direction, and I am working for a great organization called Pivot Point Family Growth Center, and we provide supports, resources, and services to youth, children, and adults on the autism spectrum. So I get to work with a great team of people every day and do really meaningful work. Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me, Elise.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And I mean, that's amazing. This is so wonderful. And I'm so glad that the work you did here at SFU set you up well to go out into the community and do that kind of work. As you know, for many of us here, like that's really so important. And Shilpa, I know you too have been doing some really important and incredible work. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm in my second to last semester at SFU, so I'm almost done, but through my time, I've been doing a lot of research work at the university, and one of the big projects that I'm still working on it's called Beyond 1969. It's an intergenerational oral history. So last year, 2019, deemed 50 years since Bill C-150 came out. And in Canada, it was, there was a lot of different conversations around it saying that it decriminalized homosexuality. But when really that bill came out just to say that when two, consenting adults can, what they do is in private is up to them, it was this bill. And what we wanted to see was, did this bill actually have effect on people's lives in a positive way, or were people of our LGBTQ plus community still facing so much marginalization and oppression? So I teamed up with Dr. Jen Marchbank from the Department of Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies, and also teamed up with Dr. Willeen Keogh from the Department of History, and we set out and found 11 individuals across British Columbia, but also a few across Canada. And we interviewed them to talk about what their experience was. So we put that together as an educational display that's been touring around the province. And has been getting a lot of awesome conversations. So that's been a part of that. And then I also do a lot of mental health advocacy in the community, a lot of outreach work. I started my own consulting program where I work with youth and families. And I also work in addictions and supervised injection sites. And community is a really important aspect, especially during this time. So being able to come together even in a group like this it's really amazing. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Shilpa. Now, as I have to say sorry to my guests because I'm having a little bit of difficulty managing the tech on this end, as people who are seeing the stream can tell. Somehow I've lost the Zoom, so we can see you, Shilpa, just so you know what's happening. We can see you. Okay. And so what I need to do, and it looks like, so let me, please everybody accept my most sincere apologies for this. We weren't able to use Skype, which is what I had learned. Okay, so it looks like what's happening is it's in speaker mode, and I don't know why I can't, like the Zoom is telling me I have to log in, and that's just freaking me out. I don't want to touch that because I'm afraid I'm going to lose everything. But what happened is it just popped, damn it, so it's showing Zoom. All right. Well, I think it's going to work once it's just me and Nora, but I think when people are talking, oh, this is so frustrating. Zoom. Okay, hold on. Everybody, just give me a second here. Exit minimal view. Okay, exit minimal. Oh my God, there we go. Okay. Oh, I don't know what I did. Okay. Okay.
We're all together.
We're back. We're all four of us. Our images are all streaming out now. So we're back. Yeah, I know. Amanda's, and now I have to figure out how to get comments up. I can see. Honestly, this is insane. Like, no one person should try and do this. But anyways, everybody has been so patient with me as I try and figure all this out. Okay, so here's what's going to happen now. I'm going to try and figure out. There's a way, normally I have this little window where comments that people are making come in. So let me just see if I can get options, output, options, what, stream, show, eek. Okay, I can see the Facebook over my shoulder here, so that's fine. If you're on YouTube, I can't see your comments right now. I will try and figure it out in a moment. But anyways, let's get the game started. So, Caroline and Shilpa are ready to quiz us. Now, I will admit that I did see some of these words that people posted on my Facebook feed because they posted the word in the definition, but then I stopped looking so I could be surprised. So if I know the definition, I will defer to Nora, but Nora and I will do our best to guess the meaning, okay?
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, first one, Nora and Elise. Can you please tell me what a unicorn is?
Oh.
Okay, it's not a white horse with a kind of pointy nose, right?
Not in this case.
It's like the sexual fantasy you will never find and be able to fulfill. Really?
You're on to something. You're on to something. So, a unicorn is roughly defined as a bisexual woman who enters a triad-like arrangement with a pre-established couple. The term unicorn came about because these women are apparently impossible to find.
Oh,
Ding, 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 Elise.
Yeah,
All right, Shilpa's turn.
Okay. Now, this one makes me laugh too. What is a clitorference?
A clitter what? You cut out a little.
Can you repeat that? A clitter?
A clitorference.
Whoa.
That was my reaction when I saw it too.
Do you know, Elise?
I'm guessing it's when your girlfriend's down on you and then the cat starts scratching at your toes. So that's a little bit of clitorference.
I think there's many different ways we could look at this answer.
What's your guess, Nora?
Well, or maybe you're not down on your girlfriend, but your cat is. I mean, that would be a clitorference.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, no, we give up. What does it mean?
Both of those are really good. Clitorference means when you're trying to get with someone and it's going really well, and then another woman comes in and boom, she clitorfered.
Clitorference.
Yep.
Okay, I want to invite folks out there who are listening, and we have a really big audience today. You are welcome to play this game too, and if you don't know the definition, you can post and I can see everybody's comments now, so make your guesses, and I'll send you a mug too if you get something right. Why not? I'm not sure how many mugs I have left, but I have a few. Okay, next.
Okay. What is a pillow princess?
I'm guessing it's somebody who needs a lot of pillows in a lot of different places in order to get it on.
I like it.
I think it's a bottom.
Okay. So, a pillow princess is a slang phrase that describes a woman who prefers to receive sexual stimulation more than she likes to give it. So, like pillow, you're resting on the pillow, you don't do anything.
Relaxing.
Yeah, which I guess is E.T. Turner says also known as a pillow queen. What a pillow? So princess and queen. I don't know. Maybe the queen's just better at it. I don't know.
Maybe. Or like Nora said, the amount of pillows, maybe, or the least amount of pillows. All right. I have the word throuple.
Ooh, that sounds really good, whatever it is.
Would you repeat that?
Yeah, throuple. So it's THROUPLE.
It involves the tongue, whatever it is.
Oh, well, thrusting. It's thrusting and opple. Throuple. I don't know. I give up.
Okay, Nora. Any last words? Throuple. No.
No, that's it.
All right.
I think E.T. might have it. Basically, a threesome. She says.
What? Say again.
So E.T. and Yolanda guess a three people.
Yes.
Look at all those winners.
Throuple is 3 women in a relationship together. We can also be seen as a triad when it comes to poly relationships, but a throuple is a closed triad. The pop reference has been up and coming more in the L Word, Generation Q, because there's characters there that become a throuple.
Oh.
Yeah.
So thrusting and opals was kind of off base.
With the tongue and thrusting.
Okay, so for those of you who guessed correctly, if you would like a mug, send me your address and I will mail it to you. Okay, we got time for maybe 2 more. Let's do 2 more.
Okay. What is a munch brunch?
Does it take place on or near a body?
I mean, it could.
All up to subjectivity.
Is it Sunday morning group sex?
Oh, that too. Great.
I love your definitions.
See, I'm not alone. E.T. guessed the same thing.
Is when you go to brunch with your lesbian crew.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I like yours better though.
I prefer the latter.
All right, Shilpa, take us
Okay.
away.
A rainbow star.
Oh. Rainbow star. That could be
Would
anything.
that be like a gay person who really works for the community and has a high profile?
That's really sweet.
Okay, I missed it completely. I can tell.
Elise?
Rainbow star. Like, okay, E.T. Turner. Yeah, E.T. Turner guessed the same thing. A well-known celebrity or queer. Yeah, like, I don't know. I've been baking a lot lately, so like, I'm thinking cupcakes, but I know that's not it. Rainbow star. Yeah, no, I don't know. A gender queer, gender non-binary, polyamorous person.
That's cool too. A rainbow star is an individual who has slept along the spectrum with myriads of individuals. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I had in mind. I was close.
You have slept with
take
the
half
L,
a
the
point
G,
for
the
that.
B, the T, the Q, the two-spirit, the A, the I,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Person.
One of my favorite ones I have to share with you that I saw that I hadn't heard before was doppelbanger.
I had that on my list, doppelbanger.
Nora, do you know what that is? A doppelbanger?
Well, I don't know. Once again, it involves thrusting.
Well, I'll tell you what it is, but first I'll tell you the best guess. So my partner, Cam, guessed a double-headed dildo.
Oh, that's smart though.
I know, right? He's very smart
There's one
guy.
out there that's named that.
But it is, yes, Amanda wins. Amanda Latower. People who are attracted to people who, she didn't finish the sentence. Look like them. Yay, Amanda.
What did she say?
She says, and E.T. Turner got it right too. Being the only problem with this little contest thing is the feed is like 4 seconds behind. So people are giving the answers as we've already. But anyways, it's people who like sleeping with people who look like them. So their own physical type, like Butch on Butch or Dyke on Dyke or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so all of you, everybody who, Amanda, E.T., you all get a mug. Yay!
Yay!
Well, we are going to have Shilpa on in about a month's time to talk about the oral history project she did.
Yay.
So we'll see you again. And Caroline, I think
Awesome.
you should also come on in the future and talk about the work that you're doing in the sex work community and elsewhere. Why not?
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, thank you so much for coming on and playing the game with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care,
Have
you
a good
guys.
day.
So good to
Yeah,
see
take
you.
care.
Bye. Oh, that was fun. Mixing it up, Nora.
It was illuminating.
It certainly was. Okay. Yeah, E.T. says, she says, I'll use the mug at my next munch brunch. Oh my God. Yeah, that was amazing. Love the lingo, eh? Did you have a favorite word? What's your favorite lesbian word? Do you have one?
Oh. Well, I'm just partial to Dyke.
Yeah.
Like it's a classic, it's solid,
It has legs.
Yeah.
It goes. Yeah, cool. That's good. All right. Okay, well, let's get down to business, Nora. We're here for the interview. So Nora, you participated in the exhibit. You're part of you played a really important part in the Vancouver scene here. You were, as we talked about in the pre-interview, you came over as part of that huge wave of Americans who came into Canada during the Vietnam War, And sorry. This is the problem with comments, is you can see them popping up. And Cindy wrote, "We call doppelbangers the Bobsy twin lesbians." So is that like, that was a term, Bobsy twin lesbians, like two lesbian couples that looked alike. So that was just an earlier term for it. That's funny. And Judith is very happy to be here on Dykes Live. Yeah. Well, we like to use lesbian, to be... Actually, I'll just stop for a moment and say that the reason why I chose the word lesbian when I named the archives is because I felt like I came out at a time when, well, dyke was the popular word. It was like 1989, 1990. But I felt like I wanted to archive this moment where, like, there was lesbian community and lesbian culture. Like, it was a very particular thing. So I kind of wanted to capture that. And so Nora and you and all the other women who were part of this project, you really embodied that moment. So, but as I was getting ready this morning, I listened to a podcast called On Being by Krista Tippett, and she always starts out every interview by saying, what are your spiritual roots? What are your spiritual origins? And I thought to myself, well, I often early on in an interview, I ask people, when did you realize you were different? But I thought, because I don't like to say, when did you realize you're a lesbian? Because sometimes that's not meaningful to people. But I thought rather than ask that question, I would ask you, when did you first have a sense of your own sexuality? And so to make it even more expansive. But perhaps before I do that, I will ask you, can you let us know when and where you were born?
Oh, I was born in 1947 in Little Falls, Minnesota.
And what's Little Falls, Minnesota like?
Well, when I was growing up, it was about 7,500 people, about 100 miles northwest of Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's in central Minnesota. And it's, what can I say? The Catholic diocese that is up there has the most Catholics per cap in the population, has the most Catholics. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, it was very Catholic, even more Catholic than Boston. So.
And so was your family Catholic? Did you grow up Catholic as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And what was that like for you, growing up Catholic?
Well, our family was, my parents were kind of very devout, and it was, and I went to Catholic schools. I went to Catholic grade school. I went to Catholic girls high school, and everybody else, like almost everybody else in town, did too. I mean, the largest church in Little Falls was St. Mary's Catholic Church, and the second largest church was Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church. And then there were two other Catholic churches, and after that, there were the kind of Zion Lutherans. So it was, when you're growing up, like, and you're surrounded by a culture, you just take it for granted. You don't notice it, I guess. So, everybody else was Catholic. Well, I did have a few non-Catholic friends, but, I mean.
And was sexuality, was that something that got discussed at all? And how was it discussed? And what age do you remember those conversations happening?
Well, okay, sexuality, like, no, there was a kind of, that thing where they told you about your period. Now, in terms of sexuality, I came to my sexuality very late.
Okay.
And there were two kind of reasons for that. And one of them was during the 4 years that I was in high school, my mother was dying of cancer. So that was a kind of overarching thing that kind of blew out the windows of my experience.
Yeah.
And also, nobody talked about gay people. I mean, I didn't hear the word lesbian until I was 19 and in the convent. Now, well, that was the other thing that really limited my sexual experience in high school, is I was kind of aiming toward the convent, and I entered after I left high school. So it wasn't until I left the convent and I went to the university that I became conscious of my sexuality at all, any sexuality.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and I have to tell you, figuring out your sexuality in your 20s, it's very, it's kind of like learning to drive a car when you're like, when you're an adult. There's this dissonance because, like when it, when adults learn to drive when they're older, they know they can kill somebody. And when you're 15, all you want to do is get your license, and you don't think that you're going to, get hurt, or anybody else is going to get hurt. And so it's, and when you come and you like get all this, when you're trying to figure this stuff out in your 20s, and other people you just, there's this dissonance, like you're kind of too old to be figuring this out, but because other people have done it earlier, and and so I felt awkward, and like, and I was smarter than than it would have been good if I had been a little dumber when I was figuring out my sexuality. I think it would have been a little easier.
So what were the things, like, to go back to your analogy of driving and being paranoid about that the possibility of harming other people or being harmed? What were the things that you were thinking about, the very adult things you were thinking about as you were sorting out your sexuality, that you think you wouldn't have been thinking about had you been younger?
Well, I think I came to my sexuality through my head, I know that's kind of odd, but like, I figured it out instead of experiencing it. And like, and I was kind of dumb. I mean, when I came out when I was in Vancouver, and I was 24, I think, and I thought, oh my God, I'm a lesbian. I'm gloriously gay. Anyway, and so I went and I told my friends, and then it turned out that half of them were too, and I hadn't figured that out. And then, when I had my first affair, it was a woman that I was working with, and I was living in a rooming house, and down on Cornwall, and there was a guy in the rooming house, and we kind of were friends to each other, because it turned out that he was a gay man who'd been in a Trappist monastery, and I was a lesbian who'd been in the convent. And so we kind of, we would get together and talk. Anyway, he came home one day when when Frances and I were kind of standing around talking, and then she left, and then he said to me, what's going on? And I said, is there something going on? I thank goodness for Terry. I would, I'd still be kind of clueless. So the next time she came by, I took her on, to bed on my couch that had one leg that went like this, so it kind of, anyway, and she brought baby duck. I was, like, I was just kind of clueless, and 20, 24, 25, like, anyway, but it,
Sounds lovely, to be honest. It doesn't sound stupid or clueless. It sounds lovely. It sounds like,
oh yes, yes.
She brought baby duck, and like,
once I kind of got the hang of it, I did have fun, and and I met a lot of women, and and we had fun, and so, and really, all the women that I slept with, you know, the ones that are still alive, we're all friends. You know, we're still friends. But so anyway, I did, you know.
Did you experiment at all with non-monogamy? What was your feeling on that debate? Were there discussions about
Oh
monogamy
my goodness,
as
were there discussions? I mean, there were like people were like it was the 70s. Everybody was doing everything and then talking about it endlessly. So I didn't I didn't do that. Um and I really think that it was because I didn't have the energy for it. I like, you know, one person was a plenty for me, and just kind of keeping up with that and hanging out. Though I did have lovers who were in other relationships, and it didn't bother me. You know, I mean, uh, so um, there was a lot of, you know, things about non-monogamy and monogamy, serial monogamy. There were like these all kind, but I have never been, and I'm still not that interested in all the categories. I'm just kind of interested in kind of being attracted to people and doing something about it, or them doing something about it and me getting it. You know, like, so, and it just it's because the whole thing is very fluid. You know, and you know, and the element of surprise is, you know, a great thing. So I don't like I for my, like, when I got together with Jackie, she told me she wanted to be monogamous. I mean, like, that was the kind of deal. Like, we like I just think, like, people who were in relationships, they made their own deals, right? When,
right?
and then, you know, and so, and Jackie told me that she wanted to be monogamous, and I said that was fine with me. And she also said that she didn't want children because she'd had a foster son, and it had really been traumatic for her. And I said also that was fine with me.
Mm.
So it was, but we had, you know, and we made the our deal was between our set, like between Jackie and me, and we, you know, and we were deeply in love. We were, anyway. So that came later. I didn't meet Jackie until I was 40. She was
Oh,
44. So, you know, it was there was an interval. So, you know, and you know, I did spend years kind of figuring out, like, I felt like I was ready to have a relationship, but I couldn't kind of get anybody interested in me. And so the whole idea was, well, how do you get somebody to fall in love with you? That was like, because I was, you know, I couldn't, like, you can't make somebody do something, right? So and I guess probably the best advice I got was, I just don't think about it. Like, I don't know.
right, right. Just let it happen organically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I think there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of sweetness in that. Um, for me, listening to you talk about how relationships or attractions and intimacy evolved, and
yeah.
happened for you. Um, yeah, Et says, I like monogamy but had trouble staying true when I was younger. Yeah, I think
Oh,
sexuality. Yeah, what you laugh? What makes you laugh about that?
well, you don't, like, you don't get that much choice about your sexual attraction. I mean, my whole theory about sexual attraction is that it what it does is it breaks down groups, because you, like, if you pick people you're born into a family, and then you pick people that you like and that you're friends with, and then sexual attraction comes along and it's the wrong person from the wrong group, and it's like, and it blows the whole thing up. It's like, it's a totally different thing. And I think it's, it's the way that they save the gene pool. So, I mean, not, well, anyway, so.
Yeah.
I used to imagine, telling my parents that I was gay by saying that, that she was a Catholic. So.
How did it go when you told your parents? How old were you? And
Oh, I was old. My mother died when I was 17, and my father remarried, and I moved to Canada when I was, 24, and I think I was in my 30s when I finally told him, and I don't, like, it was not my proudest moment, and I think he decided that that was the cause of my mental problems. So, which is not what I thought, um, but we often saw things from two different sides, but we saw the same thing. I mean, he was afraid that when I went to after the University of Minnesota, I went to Webster College in St. Louis because I read about it in Time magazine when the nun who was running secularized the college and left the convent. So I thought, so these are my people, I thought. So I went there, and my father thought that when I went there, I would lose my faith. And the only thing he was wrong about was that I actually lost it at the University of Minnesota before I went there. So, but it was for me, it was a good thing. For him, it was a bad thing. So it was kind of, and when I told him I was a lesbian, for me, it was a good thing. For him, it explained all my problems. It was an opening into my life. So
yeah,
it was, and I think, well, I think my brother and sister figured it out before I did, because when I went to the University of Minnesota, my brother told me to be careful and watch out for bulldykes or bulldaggers because they hung out in doorways and they tried to get women. So, anyway, I don't.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I want to. I mean, there's so much that happened between that and when you later in the 90s wrote that play that I want to talk to you about. And I apologize, I don't have.
Is it the Fairy Princess and the Princess Fool?
Yeah.
Or is that the one?
Yeah, I want you to tell us about that. So.
Oh, that was great. So in 1988, I went to Jackie. She was doing a consulting business, and I went to her to give me some direction about how to tell my stories instead of read them. And we started and that's kind of how we got together. And we started Random Acts from that, which was a storytelling and theater thing. And the Gay Games was coming, and we decided to do a play. And I had written a story called The Fairy Princess and the Princess Fool, kind of after seeing the Princess Bride, I think, was the movie at the time. Anyway, and I got this idea and I did this whole thing. And then we put an ad in Outlook or Extra West, I think, that said, "Act now, you can be a princess, a dragon, or a fool." And then we had these auditions, and then women showed up and auditioned, and then we decided to accept them all. So, anyway, and then so there was about and some people dropped out, but then so there was about 7 of us, or maybe 5. There was 5 or somewhere in there. So we had so when we did this thing for the gay games, and we did everything. We rented the hall, we rented the lights, we hung the, oh my goodness, I had a friend who went up this ladder that just kind of shook like this, and she's like 2 stories up, hanging lights, and it was like, I mean, lots of our friends, they baked things, they sold things, they hung things. It was great. But and then we acted, and so we converted this story into a play, and there was a narrator. I played the narrator, and I had a little laptop that I used, and I'm kind of off to the side, and then there were 2 commentators who were and they did kind of a commentation on the story, like sports commentators, because they were like it was kind of Roseanne and Martina, and they did it kind of like like 2 sports commentators on a sporting event, and there was the fairy princess, and the princess fool was played by Karen White and Leslie. I think you heard the last name, and they kind of got together, and then there was the dragon, and Jackie made this amazing dragon by sewing 7 T-shirts together. So, and then and she made a head for it that was a kind of a pole, and the dragon was in the moat. And then it, like, when we weren't doing our parts, we could be in the dragon. You put, so like sometimes the dragon had 1 head, and sometimes it had 3, and then at the beginning of the second act, we all came in as the dragon. So all 7 of us, we came down the center aisle, roaring, and we had this whole thing about, this is the time of Vanderzam, about this was not a theme park, and this was, and we kind of went on and on, and it was just magical. Jackie, she decorated the stage with those pom poms that you put on cars for weddings. Those, and there was, and we had this. The dragon was in the moat. We had a moat, and we made a bridge. So like the fairy princess is trapped in the castle, and then she decides one day to leave, and so we made this bridge out of bamboo and tinfoil and stuff. And then at that point, I wasn't the narrator. I came out and I had that helmet on with the horns on it. And I had the bridge suspended from an old-fashioned pole, a fishing pole with a huge wooden reel. And so I kind of marched out really regally, and I marched over to the dike, and I lowered the dike, the bridge, and then the dragon rose up and sent it all to, and so that's anyway we did. It was like, I love theater machines. It was just and then we had music. I mean, we had Jackie Parker Snedger and Patty Powell and Carol Weaver and we had, and I think I haven't got anybody, but we had original music. They were, and so they played, and it was, and then at some point, and then River Light played all the animals. She played the mule. The fairy princess had a mule. The princess fool had a mule. She played the mother duck. She played the baby ducks. She played she didn't play the dragon. Roseanne played the dragon, but anyway, there were a bunch of other animals. I can't remember what they were. She played them all. And then after it was over, she said she had a good, but if we did another play, could she actually play a person? So when we did Collateral Damage, we let her be Medea.
So let me ask you just a couple questions. So that was the first performance that Random Acts put on?
The Fairy Princess, it was the biggest, it was the first big one, but we started out my very first performance was Mavis Tells the Story of Marlene in the Chicken Yard, which is what I worked on with Jackie, and we did it in the Fringe. And Marlene, Mavis and Marlene are two bus drivers, and it was a whole story about what happened in the bus yard. So and we did that in the Fringe, and so that, like, and then we did a bunch of coffee break characters for unions. Yeah, both Jackie and I had really a lot of bad jobs, so we wrote these 15-minute stories where women would come on in their break and talk about their jobs. And we did a nurse's aide and a waitress and a fish worker and a receptionist. And well, those are the ones I can remember off the top. I think there were more, though. I just can't remember off the top. Anyway, so and we did those for unions, and we did I think we started doing those maybe in '89, and then the Fairy Princess was the first big thing, and then the Collateral Damage was the next big thing, and that got published as a book. Oh no, we did Postcards from Hawaii. No, postcards now. So I think Fairy Princess and the Princess Fool was first, and then we did Postcards from Hawaii, and that one Jackie wrote and I performed, and it was a story about, once again it was a story, and we did it for the View Festival, and we did it also for the Fringe Festival. But it was a story about this woman who was an office worker, and she gets invited by a friend, her partner and her break up, and they have these tickets to Hawaii. So the friend from work asks her, does she want to go along? So she goes, and she kind of goes over to Hawaii, and she kind of thaws out, and all these stories kind of come out.
Oh, interesting.
So, and oh yeah, I know that was like a beautiful thing. I mean, I had a friend who made us but it's Josie Cook. She made 3 3-foot by 4-foot postcards from Hawaii with Mount Kilauea blowing up and huge nasturtiums, and they were just beautiful. And Polly Bach made a blue Hawaiian drink that stood about 3 feet tall, and we and we had a palm tree, and we hung scenery on washing line. It was we had a kind of all our kind of sets and stuff were kind of looked like they either came from the dollar store or the kitchen. It was, but I love that anyway. I modestly say so. And it was a 75-minute show, and it was a one-woman show. And I don't remember how many times I did it, but I remember one performance where I was kind of telling the story, and I gazed up into the light, and I thought, I have no idea where I am. And Jackie and Miriam Moses were sitting backstage. Miriam Moses was our stage manager, and they heard this pause that went on too long, and they were just kind of going, because I had no prompter, and then I just started talking, and then kind of after I had gone on for a while, I realized that I was in the right place, and I kept going, so that was kind of. But it was a lovely piece. So
I'm just going to jump in here for a second, and I know that there are at least a few people listening in who were part of these productions. So if you want to share what they meant to you, what you remember about them in the comments, I'd really love to hear what you have to say. But I think one of the great things about theater is, so many things you've touched on, like theater was so important as a way to validate the experience of working class people, women, queer people. It became a place to represent ourselves, right, on our own terms, to tell our own stories. So that's oh shoot, I did it again where I clicked on a thing and then it took away the Zoom.
Oh, well.
Anyways, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. But yeah, Cynthia Cole says, I loved every show by Random Acts, Nora and Jackie, that I had the good fortune to see. And Nix Polaris says, who is Nancy, who was our guest last week, the plays were theatrical in the best senses, wild, funny, vivid, funny, and wildly dyke positive. Yeah, which is just, oh, I see, that window is, yeah, so it's really, really important that you were able to do that and kind of generate that and create a space for people to redefine themselves. I know that I don't have your banner, but the quote from your banner is, you know, weirdness is in the eye of the beholder, or something along those lines.
Right, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't think we were weird.
Yeah.
No, and the people we worked with were so great. I mean, they were wonderful, because we had a full cast for Fairy Princess and the Princess Fool, and again for Collateral Damage, and we had the band, and Jackie Parker for his Collateral Damage. I think Jackie Parker Snedger did original music, and you know, and they were just well, that, you know, it was Collateral Damage was one of the best of the Fringe, and
that's fantastic. Congratulations. Belated congratulations.
Well, I should, the other thing about, we gave a venue to some other actors, and but the other thing is, we had venues because we had the Fringe and we had the Women in View Festival. So we had a place to actually perform.
Yeah.
So, and those were really important. And so what else did we, we did, well, the House of Agnes that was a two-hander that Jackie and I did. And that was about being lesbians. That was, how did that happen? Oh, we entered it in the Edmonton Fringe. We entered it in the Vancouver and the Edmonton Fringe, and we hadn't written it yet. And it was getting closer and closer and closer to the date, and things were getting tenser and tenser. And so we were over on Main Island visiting in Josie and we were walking, and I finally said to her, I said, look, what if we do, we had this show called Great Explanations, which we took to the Queer Culture Festival in Toronto, which is a group of 4 lesbian stories, you know, so we did that in Toronto. And then, so I said to Jackie, I said, look, what if we do Great Explanations in Edmonton? No, in Edmonton, and we had entered the House of Agnes, right? I said, nobody in Edmonton has seen us. They're not going to know. And it'll give us a whole another month to write the House of Agnes for Vancouver. And so that's what we did. So the people in Edmonton saw a totally different House of Agnes than the people in Vancouver. But they were both happy because we got a really good review in Edmonton, and we got and House of Agnes was another best of the Fringe. So we, you know.
I love how you just sort of admit that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, you know, some of the things, like we did stuff too. Like there was a demonstration for against the GST down on Pender Street one day, and they asked us to come, and I couldn't go because I was working. But Jackie went. She did this whole thing called. She had a potato masher, a hand potato. She did a whole thing on mash the tacks off the back of this flatbed truck, and we did, you know, some of those stories we were kind of ripping the pencil out of each other's hands, you know, kind of like, you know, 20 minutes before we were supposed to go on, and you know, but we did. So
yeah, I think that's probably I suspect that's probably quite common.
Yeah.
Quite a common experience. Well, you know,
and I just want to mention one more.
Yes.
Because we did Murder at the Big Dyke Bake Off.
Oh my God.
Which people really loved because it was an interactive thing. and we kind of did it up we used like a lot of the actors who'd been in Collateral Damage and The Fairy Princess and the Princess Fool, and we worked it out. Like everybody kind of came up with a character that they wanted to be, and then we went into this room and then we interacted with each other, and then we kind of evolved a kind of story, and then we went to, like, everybody had to have a motive for, killing off the person. We picked a so-called fundraiser to be the person who would be murdered at the top of the play, right? So, and then Jackie Parker Snedger played that, because once she was dead, then she could go and play with the band. And so, but it was a thing where we had all these different characters, and we did it at the Lotus down at the bar, and people could, buy bars, but it was all set. So what we would do is we would have different parts of the room where we would do a scene, and like all the people in the cast would point over to that corner, so the people knew to look over there. And then there would be two characters, and they would be going, do this, do that, and then there would be a break, and then people could go around. They all had, scorecards, and they could ask us questions, and we couldn't lie. We didn't have to tell the whole truth.
Okay.
But and so everybody got, and then at the end, everybody got to vote on. Sheila Gilhooly made a whole bunch of cakes for the Big Dyke Bake Off, and Liz Wynott was the doctor who came out and said that she was dead. It was it was really a lot of fun. Oh, and at one point, everybody was standing on the table singing "Feelings" with the band. It was so much fun, and we thought we'd really done a good job. We never done this before, but it really worked out well, because we had about 7 characters, and all of them, almost all of them, got about the same number of votes as for being the murderer. And Jackie played my aunt, and she owned a trailer park, and I lived in the trailer park. So she was Aunt Bunny, and I don't remember my name, but we were, anyway. I can't remember all the characters now, but
It's okay, Nora, we've been on for an hour, so we should probably wrap up. It's okay. It's really okay. I guess the one thing I've been liking to end each program with, though, is what skill or personality trait, or I don't know, what have you learned in the past that is helping you to survive in this very strange moment where we are all sheltering in place? What is helping you get through?
Well, I don't, I would kind of go with my sense of humor, my dog, and my deep desire for world peace.
Mm.
So, which I think you would some of the elements of that are justice and compassion.
Yeah, justice and compassion. Yeah, those are good ones. Cynthia says thanks for all the laughs, and I know that Cynthia also shares your commitment to justice and compassion as well. So I want to thank you, Nora, for coming and being with us. I'm so glad that I've gotten to know you over the last few years. I just really love your sense of humor, and I'm sorry I never got to see any of those plays staged live. But I hope that I'm going to follow up with you later, because I want to make sure that they've been archived. I think.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you for listening to me.
Yeah.
Because I love to tell stories.
Yeah. So. Good. Well, anytime. Okay, so to everybody out there who has tuned in, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had a good time. I know, it's a little, it's, yeah, without images of those plays, I wish I could have presented some images so you could have seen those to go along with Nora's wonderful descriptions of them. But if theater meant something to you as part of your queer community in the past or in the present, let us know. What are some of your favorite plays that you've seen? I was actually just thinking this morning about how, I think it's Rachel Epstein wrote a play about trying to conceive. And I was a single mom in Toronto and queer. I got pregnant the old-fashioned way, but it was so wonderful for me to see, even though I didn't go through that kind of conception thing, it was so great for me to see representation of lesbian motherhood because, I was very young at the time, and, lesbian culture was very much about being single and young and going to the bars and all that kind of stuff. So theater really mattered a lot to me. So tell me in the comments what theater stayed with you, what really mattered to you, what play has not yet been written that you would like to see written. I've put here, oh, yes, go ahead.
Oh, like Jan's right. There was a bunch of us. We did Death by Doorbell, which is about the neoliberal economics in the solidarity movement in 1983, and really it's timeless. And the lyrics today are fabulous. So okay.
Thank you, Nora. Yeah, so I just have a few little things, email pages, web addresses here that you can see posted. This is the archives. You can browse our collections. If you want to email me if you gave a right answer during our quiz today and would like a mug, or if for any other reason I said you win a mug, please send me your mailing address and I will very happily ship one of these off to you. So you can, what was that? Brunch munch? You can brunch munch with your lot mug with us. Oh my God, that was so much funny. So there's, oops, sorry, that way. There's my email address. And I will just put up, let's see if I can figure this out. And here is the last page. Oh, no, wait a minute. That didn't really work out, did it? Oh, okay. Well, it was just I had a page. I don't know where it went. It said, thank you for coming, but it's disappeared. So I'll just say it verbally. Thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. If you're Canadian, happy long weekend. If you're not Canadian, too bad, so sad. We love you, and we hope whatever you're doing this weekend that it's wonderful and pleasurable. And yeah, if you have ideas for people we should interview in the future, I've decided to expand this beyond the exhibit and bring other people in. And there's a lot of people out there who are super interesting and have done really amazing stuff that I don't know about. So tell me about them, and we'll bring them on in a future show. And I hope you come back next week. I hope you subscribe to our YouTube page and like us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those other things. So thank you so much, everybody. Take care and goodbye.